Hello folks, your Overlord here, and we're going to go ahead and do episode 4.5, and in this episode I'm going to review all the items that we've managed to collect. I'll show you what I've been up to as well. If you can see, I've got a little bit more Omega power. Would you? Look. Quiet. Quiet. So, I have more items. As you can see, I've accumulated quite a few junk bags here. And I've gotten all set up again. My inventory is up to about 187 after trimming it down. And I've managed to collect up about 10,000, 17,000 points here. So let's, not this button. Let's go on in and examine these dictionaries. I'll do my best to explain the items that I've seen so far in the game. Let's start with the scrolls. Okay. This one that looks like a tree on fire is a scroll of fire. It blasts forward 4 tiles. The damage dealt is based on your magic attack. It can deal extreme damage to enemies that have poor magic resistance. And I believe there are even some enemies that sustain extra damage if they're weak against fire. It can be useful for many things. And they're available in the shop. So buying them regularly is a good way to stay armed. But you might want to just pool them up early on. Like everything else in the game, hoard it. This, so you see the trees and the billboard, we are looking at the map scroll. I think I mentioned this earlier, but the map scroll is trees and a billboard together. And there's the billboard, and there's the trees, and that is a map scroll. Using a map scroll will cause the entire mini-map to display, showing the location of the stairs, and all items, and all enemies. Normally, you can't see foes in other rooms, but once a map scroll has been activated, you will be able to see it after all. Okay. This next one is a scroll of escape. A very important scroll indeed. Basically, you will be able to exit the dungeon with all the equipment, items, and WP that you've managed to collect up to that point. There is a catch. After doing a little bit of homework, I have discovered that if you run into Yumi's shop and grab a big handful of shit and try to use an escape scroll, you will find your quote-unquote purchases are mysteriously absent from your inventory, so that doesn't work. Sorry, everybody. I tried it, I really did on a previous... I have 2 save files, you see. I have an experimental save file, and I've got this one. So, I test things on the other file, and that particular ploy did not work. So, yeah. Too bad. Okay. This is a scroll of trap reveal, and this is a scroll of trap destruction. Okay? This scroll is especially useful when you're being careful or anytime you feel uncertain about how things are going. Using a scroll of trap detection will reveal every single trap in all rooms. Even if you haven't been to a room yet, as you walk into the room, you'll be able to see the traps in it. Other ways you can reveal traps include attacking the squares one by one and using process of elimination. Items never end up on the same squares as traps. Hazards, yes, but never traps. In fact, if by some strange miracle a monster dies on top of a trap and drops an item, the item will bounce to an empty square. So, if there's an item on a square, there is no trap. Okay? Good thing to keep in mind. In the meantime, if you don't want to play process of elimination and throw around rocks and be a total ditz, you can use a scroll of trap detection. These can be useful for other things as well. Some traps have secondary uses. For example, a sleep trap can be used to regenerate your HP in a pinch, and an arrow trap can be used well to collect arrows if your evasion is good, and some characters have very good evasion. This, on the other hand, is a scroll of trap destruction. Scrolls of trap destruction aren't that handy. I'm sure they're useful in more dire situations, but right now they're basically junk. They only destroy the traps in a single room. And usually, if you can see the traps, you can just go around them. Using a scroll of trap destruction when there may be a trap, there may not be a trap, it's really wasteful. I hate it. So I usually sell these. This is sales fodder. This is not worthy of being in my bag in the dungeon. This is a weapons enhancement scroll. Now, when you enhance a weapon or an armor or an underwear, it also destroys any curses, so you can keep that in mind. This will upgrade any equipment, no matter what power or quality is, by 1. There are 3 sets of limits that are imposed on equipments. The first one is the limit of your fairy upgrades. Once you unlock equipment upgrades by the fairy can fuse together 2 pieces of matching equipment to give the stronger one a +1, which is great. You end up with +2 gear becoming +3, +3 becoming +4, but there's a limit to how much she can do that. And that limit is set by the level that you have unlocked with her. It starts at 10, and 10's not very much. It's pretty easy to get it up higher. But as you want it higher and higher and higher, it does get expensive. Well, there's another way. You can always take it out to a dungeon and use a scroll on it. These scrolls don't have that limit. They could potentially add a +1 to gear that is +98, but there's a catch to that too. Every piece of gear has a limit to number of total upgrades, right? And that shows on the, well, I'll just tab over and show you. That shows up in the upper right corner, as you can see. This one's got a limit of 25, as does that. A lot of cheap gear has a limit of +25, and this limit is a hard limit. You can merge gear, but that resets the pluses. But merged gear, fortunately, has a potential of reaching higher maximums. 4-star gear can potentially reach +99. And again, you want to use the in-town upgrade as much as possible until you max it out, and then start using these scrolls. And this is the one for weapons, and this is the one for your shield, and this is the one for bras and panties. It works for both kinds of underwear. You can really use it for either. And anytime you use one of these scrolls, equipment becomes uncursed. Not that you're going to be using it on cursed gear very much. Okay, this little baby is the one that you will see in Yumi's shop and every rarely floating around. This is a book of Magnet. Okay? And Magnet is a spell that draws all items in your current room closer to you. It's good stuff if you're dealing with a whole bunch of monkeys, but usually you're just going to use it to get freebies off of islands. There is a second way to get freebies off of islands, though, and we're going to go over that next in characters. Okay, I haven't seen this book, I haven't seen this book, I haven't seen this book, or this, 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 or this. I have seen this book. This book is, right, the Drawstring Upgrade. Okay, so what this baby is, this is a pouch upgrader. You can use this to add 1 charge to any pouch. The maximum number of charges any pouch can have is 8. Now, you can use this for a variety of functions. If you upgrade an Omega pouch, it will be able to consume 1 more object. And those pouches use up charges as they go. So, all you really need is to use this to get 1 more charge, and you'll be able to sell an item instantly. Just zonk. And you get it at the store price back home, not the chintzy dungeon price that Yumi sometimes offers you when you drop things on her floor. Not the best deal. But that's okay, it's dungeon mechanics, dungeon economics, so this can be used to upgrade a bag with normal access. If there's any special bag you've got, like I found something out about bags. It turns out that bags that have put in won't come back out don't seem to break very often. Now, I have had other bags fall and not break, which was stunning to me, and I was so glad it happened. Because I'm like, oh no, I fell, there goes my... Wait, it didn't break. So bags don't have a 100% chance of breaking, but it seems like tough bags have an even smaller chance of breaking. Maybe they don't break at all. I'm not willing to say that for sure, a few more tests, but it's possible. This is a scroll of magic charge. What this will do is it adds 1 charge to a staff. Now, how can you tell these apart from the other scrolls? Let's go over this. This one is the weapon scroll. You kind of have to get used to the look of the Wickety Wang. Okay? These 3 scrolls all have that kind of snaky looking super S going on in the middle of them. Plus, they all have a +1 in their description. If you look, this one has a +1, that one has a +1, this one has a +1. So this one has the temple and the Wickety Wang, and I think this one is weapon. This one kind of looks like a can opener or a dispenser of some kind, so that's for shield. And this one looks like a T with a little thing hanging off of it. That is the underwear. Weapons, armor, underwear. Now, these ones are easier to identify. If there's an 8 at the very end of the description, and it's kind of got this TH looking character there, that's for improving a bag. And if it has a 9 at the very end of the description, that's a staff. A bag can only hold 8 because if it breaks, it'll drop items in the surrounding 8 squares. And a staff can only hold 9 charges because that's its maximum. They don't hold more than 9 charges, and that's how it goes. And I haven't found this book either. I can only tell you about the stuff I've seen. That's how it goes. Alright, let's move on to staff, shall we? This is a staff of HP magic. I have been struggling to find a way to cast this on myself, and the only way I can find is to throw it into a room with a monkey and wait for him to throw the staff at me, which will discharge all of the charges in 1 pulse, so you get 1 pulse of 100 HP in exchange for the staff. That means this is not the best item on easier difficulties, but I want to talk about 2-shotters. A 2-shot monster is a monster that can kill you in 2 hits, right? Strategically, this is a nightmare situation. If the monster hits you and you immediately will die on your next hit, you have to use a healing item. But if you use a healing item, it's just going to knock you down next turn too. The result is you'll never gain ground on an enemy that can 2-shot you. You'll always have to stop and heal. You'll never get to hit the enemy. And this is where this staff comes in. The way you kill a 2-shot enemy is you gang up on it. You fight with a teammate. Say you fight behind a teammate. Your teammate attacks the enemy, and on your turn, you use a staff like this, a staff of HP healing, to give your ally 100 more hit points. Give your ally 100 more hit points, and you just keep doing it. And this way, you can take down an enemy that can 2-shot you. Otherwise, you can only fight enemies safely that have 3-shot capability. In other words, an enemy that needs at least 3 hits to kill you, that's the last enemy you can safely fight on your own. With a teammate and careful positioning, you can beat enemies that can 2-shot you. And that dramatically enlarges the gap. Because an enemy that can 2-shot you, provided you can reach full HP, which can be a lot, but if you can do it, can be as much damage as your full HP -1. Even -2, since you'll regenerate a point. So you can take, it's -1. You can take a massive amount of damage and still fight back, and it'll be very expensive in terms of items. But this HP staff is a good item to have around if you think you're going to be dealing with 2 shots. You ever encounter a 1-shot, it will leave a memory with you, and you will be sad, and you will remember to stay the fuck away from those. So watch out for 1-shots, and remember, if you're going up against 2 shots, this item is great. Otherwise, it's pretty much garbage. Okay, this staff. Now, stabs are a real puzzle. A lot of the stabs affect opponents for 5 turns and have some sort of a negative effect. But figuring them out is a pain. Okay. This one, it kind of looks like a big TV. The big TV is the half-speed magic. You use this staff on an enemy, and the enemy will move at half speed for 5 turns. Okay? This is a staff of double speed. Okay? See how there's 2 TVs instead of 1? Half speed, double speed. 2 TVs, 1 TV. If you use this on your enemy, you're going to be wishing you hadn't. Use it on your ally, though, and you can take down 2 shots much more quickly and easily. Again, this is a staff that's valuable when fighting strong things. Most of the time, it's pretty useless. This is sales fodder for me right now. Now we got the boombox. The boombox is actually useful because the boombox plays a lullaby. This is a staff of sleep. Okay? So we got a boombox on the far left, and this indicates a staff of sleep. 5 turns, your enemy falls asleep. This staff is surprisingly versatile. It's also recognizable because it's a 2-star staff with the number 5 in it. Okay? And there's not too many staffs that have 2 stars and the number 5. Okay? Now, the boombox staff, you can cast it on an enemy and use it to catch up because the range is pretty good on this thing. You can cast it on an enemy and run away from them. You can cast it on an enemy and kill something else in the room. Unlike normal sleep, where an enemy will wake up if you get next to them or move around, magical sleep is enforced. The only thing that will wake a magically slept monster up is taking damage. So you can get pretty tricky. Okay, now here we've got the Staff of Confusion. You've probably seen me use this one a lot. It's got an L in the name, but really I just remember it because it's the staff with an 8 in the description. If it has an 8 in the description, that's confusion magic, because confusion magic, for whatever reason, lasts 8 turns while all the other debuffs last for 5. So yeah, this is a Staff of Confusion, and until I see something else that also goes for 8 turns, there's nothing else it can be, so I get that 8 staff, I'm like, this is a keeper. And it'll hang out in my bag. It's a good way to take out enemies that run away. It's a good way to take out enemies that are dangerous. Just remember, you want to use a Staff of Confusion in the middle of a room and not in a hallway. A hallway is a good place to use a Staff of Sleep. You'll be able to catch up to an enemy before they go around a corner and get out of range, which is a real pain in the butt. But a Staff of Confusion, if you cast it on an enemy in a hall, the enemy will either come towards you or go away from you if it tries to move. And once it's next to you, it's gonna try to attack, and it's got a 50-50 chance of hitting you in the nards. So don't do this to an enemy that is running from you in a hall or trying to fight in a hall. Don't do it. Use it in an open room so the enemy will wander around helplessly. The doorway of an open room is like the perfect place to unload this. Just as they come out of the hall, they have to move forward into the room 1 step, hit them with Staff of Confusion, they'll wander around helpless. It's great. I haven't seen this, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that. So that's pretty much it for the magic staves. There's 16, and I've only seen 5 of them. So I am fully expecting that most of these rules, as you get past the first few dungeons, aren't going to hold up. I'm probably going to find other debuffs, other effects that will be similar enough. They'll probably have more stars, which will be a blessing, because I'll be like, oh, this is a 3-star staff. It has an 8, but it's not confusion because it has 3 stars, or something like that. Just always look for things like numbers in the title so you know what you're dealing with. Let's move on to potions. Potions I've got a lot of data on. This one is your classic potion. You should just have it visually memorized. It has HP 50% right in the description. There's even the HP 5 reminder sitting there. You drink a potion at full health, you gain 5 hit points. Now 5 hit points is not a small amount. It's more than any character gains on a level up. So keep in mind that you can do this. It is especially important after you clear the 10th floor dungeon and unlock Urara, and you decide, oh, I'm going to play with the glass cannon because that's the smart thing to do, right? Well, if you're real good at the game, maybe. I consider myself only passively good at the game. What you can do is bring about 10 to 20 potions with you. And at the start of the dungeon, just drink them one after the other and give Urara an extra 50 hit points. Then you'll have a hell of a lot less problems, okay? I don't know what this is or this is. This thing, this ching chung, no, that's very rude. I can't read it. It's a whole bunch of very complex kanji characters, but it essentially says antidote. This potion is 3 characters long, which is one of its tells, and all of its characters are complicated. You'll get used to the beetle at the end. That means potion. So this is definitely, well, a compound. This is a complex alchemical potion, not a Pokemon potion, which is this. This is a Pokemon potion. This is a magic potion. And this one has 2 complex characters besides the word potion. So it is antidote. And you drink it, your poison status goes away. Remember that poison reduces your strength by 1. Really doesn't matter until it starts stacking up 3, 4, 5, and you really want it gone, then go ahead and use an antidote. Or if you just need space in your bag, you can drink an antidote. It's going to be worth 2% of your hunger too, so there's that. That's great. This, it took me a while to figure out what this does, and I only ever found 1 of them. No, 2 of them. I got a second one on the last run. This is Panacea, okay? I had to look this one up on the wiki. This baby cures any status effect no matter what it is. So, keep one of these in your backpack. If you find yourself going up against some crazy shit, and you find yourself doped up or dying or who knows what the fuck, drink the Panacea and kill whatever did it to you fast. It's a beautiful panic button, and you should have one with you at all times. This is a potion that doesn't end with the word potion. That's because it's the microphone, okay? And it's real simple, smooth characters, and it ends with something strange, so there's the microphone. You use a microphone, you get to hear a song. The character who uses it gets to do the singing, but there's no real difference as far as I can tell. Using it always gives you the exact same buff. That is the accuracy buff. You stop missing under all circumstances. This is exploitable. What you can do is have a very powerful hammer hanging out in your bag. I hope you know where I'm going with this. If things get ugly, use the microphone and switch to your hammer. It will be more powerful than your other weapon, and once you stop missing, it will simply be superior. So yeah, this is an option. Carry around a hammer. When you find a microphone, flatten some things. The effect lasts until you leave the stage. Once you change stages, the music ends, so that sucks. But even if you walk into a monster room, the music keeps going. In fact, I like to activate it in monster rooms. It's very convenient there. Keeps me from whiffing all over the place. Other things that this is good for, if you have a weapon that attacks on multiple sides, like the scythe I used in the last episode. You probably noticed in the last monster room I fought, I would swing and hit one enemy and miss another. That's because the side and back attacks that the scythe are capable of, yes, it attacks all adjacent enemies. The side and back attacks are much less accurate. Activate a microphone and you'll hit on all sides like you're Ruby or some shit. So that's awesome. Let's move on down the potion line, shall we? This, okay, the triangle, right. This is a 5-turn sleep medicine. You can throw this at an enemy to catch up to them, I guess. Oftentimes I sell it. It's good though for regenerating your HP on the fly. You don't have to find a sleep trap. Sleep regeneration is more effective if you have more than 200 hit points. I believe it doubles your regen. So yeah, that's awesome. You can use sleep medicine to recover your hit points. Bear in mind it's 5 turns. So don't do it if there's something right next to you that's gonna run up to you and bash your face in. Sleep traps also make you sleep for exactly 5 turns. So again, be aware of what your surroundings are before you take a power nap. Otherwise, a power nap can be a beautiful thing. This potion, this bottle is essentially a, well, if you take an average potion that's regenerating 20, this one regenerates a minimum of 25. So that's cool. And the more HP you have, the more effective your power nap is going to be. But that involves holding on to a garbage potion until you have hundreds and hundreds of hit points, which I don't recommend. So let's move on. Throw it at an enemy. This is, 8. Everybody should know what this one is, right? Because there's an 8 in it. This is a bottled confusion. Okay, throw this at an enemy and they'll get mixed up. Most items fly 4 squares. I believe weapons and armor fly only 3. But you can pitch this the same way you can throw a rock, and if it hits an enemy, they'll get baffled and stumble around helplessly. This doesn't work on bosses. Be aware that even Urara will resist getting confused this way, and she'll resist falling asleep too. She will occasionally just decide to take a nap, so you can wait for her to go to sleep. But status effects won't affect them. But this is good for common dangerous monsters. If a monster ranks up because they kill your teammate, having something like this on you as a panic button is very important. This one, oh, I hate this one. Okay, it's 3 characters, and it looks like somebody's sweating or crying or handing a couple of pills or whatever. It's poison. This is a bottled poison. Don't drink it. Don't waste your time throwing it at enemies. Just sell it. It doesn't have any value. True, if you chuck it at an enemy, you'll decrease their strength stat by 1. Who gives a crap? Just kill them. Or use your Omega power and weaken them or something. Throw damage down medicine at them. Anything's better than poison. Poison is just useless, especially bottled poison. I can't find a single use for this item, so just get rid of it. This one. It took me a long time to figure out what this is. I can identify it now easily enough because it's the same star ranking as the Confusion Magic. It's, 8 stars. It's 2 stars, but the number is 5. This baby, this is a potion of quickness. If you drink it, you'll be able to move twice a turn for 5 turns. That means you'll get to take 10 steps, not 5 and 2.5, I think. I'm not confident about that. Last time I used it, it was all a blur. That was a pun! Anyways, I haven't seen this or this or this or this or this or this or this. This one I know. Okay. And I can use this one to figure out some ones that are, fairly similar to it. This is a physical, which one is this? I think this is physical defense up. Yeah, this is physical defense up potion. Okay. And the other one is there's physical attack up, physical defense up, magical attack up, and magical defense up. All of these potions have 2 stars, and then there's also 2-star potions that cause stats to go down. Here's how you tell the difference between a stats up and a stats down potion. A stats up potion will have a 5 in it. A stats down potion will have a 10 in it. Also, see the little smiley near the second to last character there, before the potion bug? The little smiley indicates going up. That hook thing that's taking its place in this picture, that indicates stats down. So this is physical attack down. This is physical defense down. This is magical attack down, and this is magical defense down. And they all do jack shit. They're all pointless. In fact, the best use for all of these ones is to sell them, because they're worth 150. They're more valuable than most pieces of equipment you will haul out of that dungeon in the early stages. So yeah, they're valuable. You can pool them up. You can hang on to them. I believe they actually have and double damage. So yeah, getting a defense doubler could be very valuable if you find yourself fighting a 2-shotter. So maybe I should have, hanged, 5 turns, but 5 turns could change everything. I probably should have held on to this now that I'm pretty sure I sold it. I probably should have held on to it. I'm getting some seller's remorse here. But these are all junk. You could throw them an enemy and have their defense, but because of the way it's calculated, enemies would have to have astronomical defense. I'll get plenty of chances to get more of these. I'm not worried about it. This, oh yeah. This is the only potion I've ever seen that has a 1 in the label. And it's got 3 stars. This is Bottled Level Up. If you drink this, you will gain exactly 1 level, and the best time to drink it is right after you have gained 1 level. The level up chart gets more and more steep the higher your level goes. The bonuses for leveling up, however, are flat. So you're always going to gain the same exact pulse of stats when you level up. Most importantly, when you level up, you'll recover all your hit points. So this is a Giga Potion. When you drink this baby, you get all your health back, your HP increases, your damage and toughness increase, and you're ready for the next round. That's why I carry around a bag just full of these things. If I ever get into trouble, I can just pump these down. If I end up in a two-shot situation, I can just drink them and drink them and drink them. What's best? You can throw them at an ally and level them up instead. The only thing that doesn't work is throwing them at a monster to give them more power. It doesn't seem to have any effect. I wasted a bottle on that once. I was trying to grind. I don't blame anybody but myself. Okay, this one, the water bottle. It's just water. That's it. It's just water. It's the water bottle. There's no potion symbol at the end, see? It's the water bottle. And what are you waiting for? Drink it. It's 2% of your hunger. And it's taking up space in your inventory. It has no real monetary value. It's 50. You might as well carry anything else. Just chug it. Yeah, so, water. Let's move on to breads. I've not seen too many of these. And they've been a little puzzled to figure out what the hell they do. This one is your standard bread. It will give you 60% of your hunger back and raise your HP by 20. It's the basics of the basics. You can get it on stage 1 as much as you want. Just go run the stage, grab a bread, go home. Don't eat the bread in the stage or you've kind of wasted your time. This is a different one. The fire emblem at the very start, I think it means big. I think this is simply a big bread. The big bread grants you 20 HP, but it also maxes out your hunger bar. So 100%, which is perfect if you're starving to death. And I don't know what any of these are. So there's that. There's only one essence. This is in fact the incense that you use for all your upgrade games. And we've got these guys. I've seen 3 so far. The one that's got a 3 here in its name, this one is your standard bag. He's got a loopy-doop and a 3, and this is, you put items in, you take items out, you put items in, you try not to dump it on the ground. Okay? It's fine. This is a hard drawstring bag. This bag, you can put items in, they're not coming back out. You're not getting your item back, Buster. Even if you take it home, you can't get the item out. That said, you can sell the bag or tear it open. But the bag won't tear open just from hitting the ground. You have to spend a turn tearing the bag open, and then you'll be able to retrieve all the items in it. I think you have to spend a turn. You can also tear it open at home. Ripping the bag and destroying it is the only way to get your items back, but the bag itself does carry value. So the best way to use these that I've found is to pack garbage into them and then just give them to Yumi. They're a good way to manage your inventory. Everything has its use. This is an Omega Power bag. If you use this, the amount of Omega Power you have in the dungeon will surge. Basically, using an Omega Power bag will let you transform your item into Omega Power on the spot. It's pretty useful. There's just one catch. It doesn't seem to help you increase your bust rank. That's a shame, but that's how it goes. If you've got garbage that you're just going to sell when you get home, you can toss it in one of these. It's worth a small amount too, 300 actually, so not that small. About 2 items worth, if it gets home in one piece. And you can always use a staff to recharge it and sell another item. I don't recommend putting charges on a bag like this though. You could just take the staff, the charging staff, and you know, the scroll's got to be worth something. It's got to be worth more than the 0 benefit you get from selling an item in the middle of a dungeon. Seems wasteful. I guess if you really have no inventory space left, then you could use a scroll to give your Omega bag one more boost and then chuck an item into it. But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. That pretty much covers it. These are the weapons I've managed to find. The basic sword. This is a slightly better sword. This is a slightly better sword. This is a hammer. This is a trident, which I recently made. Okay, so let's talk about item combination. I think I showed you the trident recipe already. I've only found one other recipe, and it's for a shield. When we're done talking about it. This is a magic staff. No, this is the trident. This is the trident. Right, so this attacks the 3 squares in front of you, I think. Yeah, and, well, there's some armors. I don't really know the difference between it. They're shields. I mean, the weapons at least attack a little differently from one another, so that's great, but... And then there's these, oh look, it's bras and panties. Well, they all have exclamation points and stuff because they're all very exciting. I'm getting thrilled just looking at them all. Okay, so yeah, there's those. Now here we are. Now here we have the shootable objects. This is a rock. It flies 4 squares and deals 15 damage. Unless, I have found, unless a leveled up Sayeri is throwing them. That skinny girl who seems kind of cold, the ninja-ish one, she is actually a very capable archer if you were paying attention in the cutscenes, and one of her passives gives her a boost to using these items, a percentage damage increase, so she can kick some ass, and that's awesome. I think that's great. This one flies 10 squares and deals 20 damage. It's not a bad arrow at all. Basically, it's your standard wooden arrow. That's what that sign means. It must mean tree, wood. Okay, so cool. Then this is, would you eat this bread? That's a pun. Anyways, this is an iron arrow. And it's really useful because it deals exactly 30 damage. And sheeps have exactly 30 HP. So you can use this to take out a sheep in one shot from any distance. All you gotta do is line up with them, and it really, really expedites sheep hunting. Speeds it up a ton. They don't drop until later stages, though, so you kind of have to look around. Why don't we take a look at the monsters, too? Okay, this is your standard goon. I've killed 215 of the fucks. Okay, it's got a small amount of hit points. I don't remember exactly how much. It's around 25, okay? It's not an impressive amount by any stretch of the imagination, and they don't have any defense or attack power to speak of. Basically, these guys hang out in the dungeon to give you a quick surge. They are a level 1 enemy, which means they are worth 100 EXP and 10 Omega points. This is a dummy. Well, you were having trouble killing the other things. There's this. The toughness of this one varies. In the first couple stages, they're weaker. Then in the next stage, they're very slightly stronger, but not by much. These things are worth even less EXP, only 60, but they are worth 10 Omega power, so that's nice, I guess. You'll feel like a dummy if you die to one of these. Haven't seen these monsters. This is a sheep. These monsters like to run away. They won't confront you except if they feel really agitated. They drop powerful level up potions and other goodies as well on later stages. They always have exactly 30 HP. They never sleep because they always float, which I guess makes them immune to that shit, except I've put them to sleep before. Anyways, they don't take naps. They fly around. So you look for enemies that are on the move. Once they see you, they will turn and run, but until then, they follow the patrol AI, which has them constantly moving into a different room. Other enemies will get in the way while you're chasing them down. Best of all, this is a level 10 enemy with only 30 hit points. Killing a sheep will grant you 1,000 experience points and 100 Omega points. As we go over the EXP slopes a little bit later and I talk about character development in episode 5.5, it will become obvious that these guys are the best you get in the early stages. But I'll just say it, this is the best you get in the early stages. Grinding happy sheepies on stage 3 with the 6th floor dungeon, just using rocks and arrows and what have you, confusion, sleep, just kill them, kill them, kill them. Nothing else spawns for a while. It's easy, easy, easy money. Okay, this is a bird. Birds are a bit of a nuisance because they attack twice for every time you attack once. But this genre, this type, does no damage. They're slightly evasive as well, so it can be a nuisance to hit them, but it's usually not that bad. They're slow, they're weak. I think it has 40 hit points, 30, 40 hit points. After a little while, they'll die in one hit, but at first you're going to have to two-shot them. And that means you'll get hit for 1 damage a couple times. They're really not more than a nuisance. It's a level 1 enemy, so you're only going to get 100 EXP and 10 Omega. This guy, Condoriano, he cannot attack twice, and his HP varies by the stage. Basically, he's easy to kill, and he's weak, and he's a target. 100 EXP, 10 Omega, level 1 enemy. Slim pickings. This little baby doesn't show up until stage 9 or 10. I think he shows up on stage 10. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's stage 10. This is a dragon baby. He looks like a real fire breather, but he's not too bad. However, dragon babies have 2 types of attacks. The claw slash deals a little more damage, but the tail swipe is tricky. It strikes all enemies adjacent to them. That includes enemies standing in hallways. So they can be around the corner. They can kitty corner swipe you with their tail. And it's a bitch because you can't counterattack them with a normal weapon from that position. So watch out for that. They do moderate damage, and they can take moderate damage. The enemy is level 2, meaning it's worth 200 EXP and 20 Omega power. Be on top of your game before you fight these. They're usually at the bottom of Dungeon 10. Ah, sword and board dude. Okay, so fighting armors are fairly tough enemies. You'll usually have to spar with them for several turns unless you power leveled yourself past level 15, at which point they'll go down in a hit or two. The real trouble is this armor has a low chance of performing a disarm attack. And if it hits, the disarm attack will cause your weapon to fling loose. In the streams, a couple of times I've demonstrated the effective way to fight them. Make your teammate stand in front of them, and then stand behind your teammate. If your ally gets its weapon knocked off, then access the context menu down to reach down to the ground beneath your feet, and then instead of selecting the top option, which is pick up, select the option under that, which is equip, and equip your item right back on your helper character. In this way, even if your teammate gets disarmed, they will not spend a turn without their weapon or armor. It's much better than running around chasing after your gear, especially in a room that could have monkeys and other shit. So watch out for these guys. They're a pain in the ass. Oh, almost forgot. This is a level 2 enemy. 200 EXP, 20 Omega. This is a level 1.5 enemy. It's a turtle. You encounter them very early in the game. To be honest, they're only really going to have any chance to kill you if you're really reckless at level 1. But this teaches you to very carefully examine how enemies work. Turtles take 1 action every 2 turns, which is a bit of a quirk. They can deal damage that is pretty significant in the early game. However, they get mitigated fast. So before too long, turtles aren't a big deal and you can just tank them. Usually around level 5, it's not a problem. However, if a freak accident happens and a turtle kills Urara, your teammate, well, that is the bad situation because then you'll be confronting the next rank of turtle, which happened on another playthrough of mine, and that shit was painful as hell. Fortunately, it still abided by the law of the turtle, which means all I had to do was kite it. And then something came up behind me and I realized that it was time to use an escape scroll. Anyways, let's move on. Wizard. Okay. Skull guy here uses a magic attack. unless you're standing next to him. If you're standing next to him, he'll be forced into using a physical attack instead. The physical attack is pathetic, deals no damage, and Magic Guy has very little HP, which means if you're pretty well leveled, you're going to one-shot him. If not, you'll two-shot him. Problem is, his magic deals a pretty serious wallop. At a moderate level, it dealt 45 damage to me. And in order to mitigate it, you need magic defense, which means level is your friend. It's possible you happen to be wearing the right armor to mitigate some of the damage that he deals, but even with mitigation, you're going to still take 45 to 50 damage. And since the times that you'll be encountering this guy, you're going to have around 100 to 150 HP, it's not a small amount. He does seem to take several turns between his magic attacks, but don't linger in the same room as him and give him the chance to take pot shots, and don't line up with him if you can help it. Do what you can to stay away from him, because he's nothing but trouble. He's a level 2 enemy, by the way. 200 EXP, 20 Omega. Oh right, Reaper. This bad boy is a real problem. He can move through walls. In fact, he ignores them. In order to deal with him, you're gonna have to get him out into the middle of a room. He's not especially tough, but let's be honest, when you first encounter him, his damage will be bad news. You need to have been gaining levels prior to this, or the Reaper is the scariest thing that can happen to your run. If you're just trying to dash through a dungeon in the early stage 9, you're just gathering level boost scrolls, and you're just trying to run through, this is bad luck. This is trouble. Because he can get inside the wall of a tunnel, which is the worst place to fight him, and damage your guys and kill them really fast. He has high damage. As you level up, it becomes less significant, but this guy is a threat when you first see him. Remember that you kind of have to wait him out. Let him come to you. He moves randomly, which really mitigates the effectiveness of his wall transparency trick. But once he gets next to you, he will fight you. He won't run away or anything. So control where you fight him at, and hopefully things will turn out for the better. He will randomly move into the halls or tunnels. Try to get him to do that and kill him. Don't deal with him and another monster in a hall. It is the worst situation you can be in. You'll just take damage. Oh, I think he's a level 1.5 enemy, but he could be a level 2. I don't remember. This is a monkey. Monkeys are 1.5 enemies, so they're worth 150 EXP and 15 Omega power. They're very annoying foes. They move at about half speed, not quite half speed. They move much faster if there's an item they can see on the ground. If there's an item in their room, they will compulsorily move towards it. Even if you are standing in the way between them and the item, they will try to go around you and get to the item. So this can be, you can throw a rock into the corner of a room and the monkey will run after the rock right past you and get his butt slaughtered. Do this anytime you're tired of chasing down a monkey. They will make a beeline for any item they can see. Beyond that, monkeys will throw rocks. Rocks deal 15 damage. It's not a big amount. Even at the start of the game, you heal it off before you encounter another enemy. But if you're stuck in the middle of a very complex fight, then it's easy to ignore the monkey. You should never ignore the monkey because thrown items deal almighty damage. That is to say, damage that cannot be mitigated through armor or magic defense. You are going to get hurt. And if you happen to be fighting something delicate and you're relying on your incredible armor and toughness and you're starving and your HP is actually rather low but you think you're fine, watch out for monkeys. Also, leave any room that they're in that have items because they will run for the items and stand on them and throw them. Even from point blank, they will throw them. I had a monkey destroy a bag on my last run. I thought, oh, it's fine. My partner's America's standing right next to the monkey. The monkey's not gonna, and then he threw the bag at America and hit him with the bag, and the bag did 1 damage. I think it was 15 damage, and then the bag was destroyed. I'm like, fuck, you broke a bag. I didn't even need a bag. I had a lot of bags, but I was still angry at that monkey. Watch where you fight monkeys at. Control their position carefully. This goober is something I call a watermelon. Okay? The floating space watermelon is a vanguard of the space vampires that eat sardines. He is bad news because he will steal your hit points or Omega power to regenerate his own health. If he gets your HP, he's basically done a lot of damage. If he gets your Omega power, he's hurt your money supply, which is really not cool of him. I mentioned last time, watermelons cannot reduce your Omega rank. They don't cause you to lose Omega experience. They just hurt your bank account, which still sucks. To prevent that, have your partner fight them. If your partner takes an attack that is meant to absorb Omega power, the Omega damage will not happen. Your partner will take normal damage. They can still be HP drained, but Omega drain attacks do not work on your partner, since all the Omega power is in your boobs, not your partner's boobs. Make sense? Okay. Watermelons are, I believe, a level 2 enemy. 200 EXP, 20 Omega. This is a shrub. Shrubbies, they are stupid as fucker. They don't. That's all they do. They don't. All the things that they do is they don't. They have no damage. They're stupid as shit. Sometimes they run from you. Sometimes they come towards you. They have no redeeming qualities. Except for the fact that they're poison. Yep, look at that character at the start of his name. Poison. Sure enough. So if he attacks you, which he might not do because he's a plant and he's stupid as shit, and his attack happens to proc his effect, which might not happen because it's stupid as fuck, you will be poisoned, which might not matter because poison doesn't do shit at this stage in the game. It doesn't add up fast enough. So yeah, just kill it. 100 EXP, 10 Omega power, chase him around, whatever. Pretty junk. This is a coin. When this side of the coin is showing, the coin is asleep. Coins do pretty respectable damage, and they move around pretty actively. Coins also blind you. They'll do a wind-up and just sort of a big spinny attack at you. The attack doesn't really do a whole lot more damage, but it can blind you. If you are blinded, then you'll be able to see basically as though you were in a hall. You will not be able to see the mini-map. You will not be able to detect enemies in the same room as you or items in the same room as you. You won't be able to detect anything. Even if you had full mini-map view, your mini-map will be gone while you are blinded. So you'll kind of be, well, playing in the dark. Doesn't mean you can't hit things. Your partner can get blinded and it will have almost no effect. So if you're really worried that you're going to get blinded and be forced to waste 10 turns waiting for the blind to come off, then have your partner fight them instead. But really, it's a little longer. I think it's closer to 20 turns that you can't see. So it is a nuisance. A level 2 enemy. 200 EXP. 20 Omega. Okay, I think we're getting close to a spoiler enemy. Oh, never mind. Didn't show up. I guess that's it.